It's a lovely good evening to all the viewers watching us from within Zambia and outside. To present Camnet Television News, my name is Jeffrey ZAMBIA. Our top stories in the news tonight: Joseph MALANJI and BOWMAN LUSAMBO sue the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ. Government blames PF on the 75 motorcycle procurement scandal. Zambia to combat crimes through street cameras. In international news, Angola's opposition to contest election results. And in sports news, Red Arrows men's rugby team eyes first place after the forthcoming game.
Are you a business organization or an individual with a dream to register your presence in Zambia and around the world? Waste no time, because Camnet Television is offering an opportunity to sponsor any of the following programs: the main news, national matters, breakfast show, the verdict, partnership of greatness, economic briefcase, business and sports news. For more details, call following numbers. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Hello once again, another news in detail. A 27-year-old woman of Kanyama constituency in Lusaka and mother of 3 is living in dire poverty after her husband allegedly neglected her and her children, as he only leaves them with 10 kwacha per day for food. In an interview, Charity Mbewe, though not her real name, has told Camnet News that her husband commanded her to abort her last-born child, who is now 9 months old, when pregnant, accusing her of promiscuity, adding that he will only provide for their first 2 children. Meanwhile, in a separate interview, Concerned Citizens for Justice and Human Rights Director Richard Nkua has advised women to strive for financial independence so as not to be manipulated by men. More in this report.
Women in Zambia have continued to lag behind when it comes to accessing economic activities in comparison to men, according to the International Labour Organization ILO. This has led to many men taking advantage of women in marriages, further leading to an increase in gender-based violence, GBV cases in Zambia. This has left many women dependent on their husbands for finances for those in marriages. This is the case of a 27-year-old woman of Lusaka's Kanyama constituency, Charity Mbewe, though not her real name, who says that she and her 3 children aged 9 years to 9 months are now suffering, as her husband, who works as a carpenter at a named company, leaves them with only 10 kwacha per day for food. The woman explains that her husband also denied paternity for her last-born child and demanded that she abort the child during her pregnancy.
Family wao wanakambatia imimba usachose weveza bwa wakana atia imimba uchose so inasabe mshipikisha ma sisters zao ndio za bwantani zile penezi na mimba paka mwana na papa hapo nena papira pale mwana analiko nkambisa na kusia ndama vakuti ma responsibilities zionse so zochita pa nyumba grasa afu ya mwana mafuta vaseline kwenzeli beviro mpali manja hapa so sama siapo chichonse pa nyumba sama siapo ndama vakuti nangubana sama siapo vakutotsiwa na wajiro safu so nimaenda che mtaoni kuchita kuja tumapisi weki siapo ma restaurants.
Efforts to call her husband were however not successful, as he is said to be avoiding unknown numbers after the woman ran to a local human rights non-governmental organization for help. Meanwhile, in a separate interview, Concerned Citizens for Justice and Human Rights Director Richard Nkua has encouraged women to seek financial independence.
I think it's something that we are saying that it has to come to an end. Those women that are abusing women, those men that are abusing women, they should stop. Because this is high time that we are supposed to support women. This is high time that we should bring our nation together, then we eliminate the issue of gender-based in the country.
The woman is now appealing for aid to start a business to enable her provide for her and her 3 children. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The residents of Kwacha constituency have complained of underdevelopment in the area. Those interviewed by Camnet News say they want a lawmaker who will lobby for employment and empowerment opportunities. The people of Kwacha will be going to the polls to elect a member of parliament following the nullification of Joe Malanji's election. Here's a report.
With only few days remaining till Kawushan Kwacha constituency hold by
The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has prescribed Thursday, 15 September 2022 as the date on which to hold the Luangwa Council Chairperson by-election in Luangwa district of Lusaka province, the Kabushi and Kwacha parliamentary by-elections in Ndola and Kitwe districts of the Copperbelt province. 5 candidates are seeking to represent the people of Kwacha. The candidates include J. Ashan, the only female candidate from the Economic Freedom Fighters Party. Ms. Ashan is a former Patriotic Front member who pledged to empower the women through agriculture. Professor Oliver Silumbe of the Leadership Movement also seeks to promote community-led empowerment. And the Luri New PND has fielded Abel Mlenga, who equally claims to be the right candidate. Lawrence Kasonde is contesting as an independent candidate, while Shadrach Mumba is the candidate for the United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia. The participation of the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front, is still in doubt as its candidate Joe Malanji awaits the court hearing on the 7th of September 2022 in a matter in which they have challenged the ECZ's decision to bar him and his Kawushi constituency counterpart BOWMAN LUSAMBO from contesting for necessitating the by-elections. But whatever the case, the people of Kwacha constituency have their desires and development aspirations.
So maka inecho ndefu nechikuru ndefu akuchipata compound ngeve honorable bayompi banjebere ine proti banjebere yakupera uka clinic center kakwati abantu barepokera po umuti kuchirokula ku riverside kulayo kokutali nefyonse nimpekanya yako batu honorable benganga fusha ni sosa no kusosa so na papata sana
kulefo kutuchitako empower tatugomba fwe bambi tuikalafya so nga batuchitako empower na efwe tutwate mwatugu kuteko bule tutwala ko pantanshi natukwata abana bashikweta amasukuru natukwete byako balipiri enga mwatoro shako oko tureikala mwe bantu mufile mwatoro shako bibambye bashikweta pa kwikala balibale chula balibale irishanya tabakwetesha kusokera tabakwete business.
Voting is a choice, just like it is a right, and the people of Kwacha will have the last say on the 15th of September 2022.
Tulero mbogwe bache batwafuirisheko okulingana ngesho benga twafuirisha tule papa devya kuchitaivo tatukwete tule chula veno kupitana ndata tukwete vya kuchitachalenga twamkuiwa so tulero mba batwafueko kuli batubeleko kulingana inchito tukwate kwefya kuchita chula vya mtu ambaye basala yole lero kama ile batapa chini ndimensala kukonoso bati mtu ngamala na mtu wacha ndeina desho fendu ndeina omuteko mwatusunga shino aba isapo the person to abarechita kwati chero chireko sera abana twaraikana na boshani twarasunga shani.
Patrick Soko. Meanwhile, former Kwacha Member of Parliament Joseph Malanji and his counterpart, former Kabushi Member of Parliament BOWMAN LUSAMBO, have sued the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, seeking a declaration that ECZ holds fresh nominations for the 2 respective constituencies. The 2 have lamented before court that the decision by the ECZ to reject and declare their nominations unsuccessful is illegal. More in this report.
With only few days remaining till Kawushan Kwacha constituency hold by-elections scheduled for the 15th of September 2022, the 2 former members of parliament for the respective constituencies have again rushed to the Lusaka High Court and sued the Electoral Commission of Zambia, despite waiting upon the Constitutional Court's judgment to be delivered on the 7th of September 2022. Former Kawushi MP BOWMAN LUSAMBO and his counterpart, former Kwacha MP Joseph MALANJI, have petitioned the Electoral Commission of Zambia seeking that the court orders ECZ holds fresh nominations for the two constituencies after rejecting and declaring their nominations unsuccessful. On the 25th of August 2022, ECZ rejected the nomination papers of Mr. MALANJI and LUSAMBO on the basis that they do not qualify to recontest the elections that were nullified by the Constitutional Court, citing Article 72(4) of the Constitution of Zambia Amended Act No. 2 of 2016. However, the two petitioners now want the Lusaka High Court to quash the said decision by ECZ on ground that it is illegal, procedurally improper, and it is therefore now unvoid. They also want a declaration from the court confirming that they are eligible to contest in the said by-election, adding that the decision by ECZ agents amounts to interpreting the Constitution, which is a prejudicial function and is in an excess of the powers given to ECZ under Section 4 of the Electoral Commission Act No. 25 of 2016. Mr. MALANJI and BOWMAN LUSAMBO have further argued in their petition that ECZ, through its returning officer, has no powers to reject their nomination papers on the basis that their elections were nullified, stating that this action violates Article 72(2) of the Constitution. Meanwhile, on the 25th of August 2022, the Constitutional Court declined the two's plea to stay ECZ decision after their nomination papers were rejected, adding that the court will proceed to hear the case and pass judgment before the by-elections. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A state witness has narrated before the Lusaka High Court how he survived from drowning in Lake Kariba, where 6 Seventh-day Adventist youths died during a camp church meeting program in Siavonga. Cornelius Chileshe, 21, a cafe attendant, explained that on the material day, he and his fellow youths decided to go swimming, but decided to jump into the lake in panic as they did not know where the boat they had camped from was heading to. This is in a case in which Jonathan Hajaya, Osborne Mambo, and Tyson Hachiyako are facing 6 counts of manslaughter. It is alleged that on 1st January 2022, the three caused the death of Alan Mwanga, Ronald Libuku, Rodwell Chileshe, Goodson Hamaila, Niza Muchivila, and Zebron Shikambo. More in this report.
The Lusaka High Court has commenced hearing witness testimonies in the case where 6 Seventh-day Adventist youths died at Lake Kariba during a camp meeting program in Siavonga district. 3 people, namely Jonathan Hajia, Osborne Mambo, and Tyson Hajigayo, have been connected to their death and charged with 6 counts of manslaughter, contrary to the laws of Zambia. The trio is accused of causing the death of Alan Mwanga, Ronald Libuku, Rodwell Chileshe, Niza Muchivela, and Zebron Shikambo on the 1st of January 2022. Among the 3 witnesses called by the state, Shepard Chusulo has testified that on the material day, he found a lot of SDA youths swimming at Lake Kariba, and after an hour later, a big boat used for fishing carpenter known as Sunshine 2 arrived and parked at the edge of the lake where the youths were swimming from. He narrates that the said boat was parked for about 20 minutes, leading the SDA youths to go into the said boat and play by doing somersaults from the boat into the water. And a few minutes later, the driver started the engine while the youths were still on the boat, leading others to start jumping into the water. While another witness, Collins Chileshe, 21, who was among the survivors, has narrated how he and other youths started jumping into the water from the boat in panic, despite not knowing how to swim, as they did not know where the boat was heading to. He testifies that on that fateful day, the driver of the said boat started the engine without even notifying them or telling them anything. In his further testimony, the witness has testified that there were more than 30 when the boat started moving into the deep waters, and in panic they resorted into jumping out, But as they reached at a safe place, they realized that the 6 deceased failed to survive. Trial continues in this case. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Ministry of Information and Media says the tender to provide 75 motorcycles to the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services at a cost of 130,000 kwacha each that was awarded to a firm known as Catholics Investment was done under the Patriotic Front administration. In an interview, Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kamwana has assured Zambians that the current administration will not overpay on goods and commodities, promising to re-advertise the tender following its pending expiry date on Wednesday, the 31st of August 2022. Mr. Kawana explains that the tender, which was awarded to Catholics Investment on 4th August 2021, was only signed in December of the same year and extended to the 9th of May 2022 as the coronavirus slowed down the delivery process. He has assured citizens that the current administration will ensure that the next tender is given to a well-deserving firm and at a realistic price to avoid overpayments. Meanwhile, Mr. Kawana has advised watchdog institutions to seek clarity before issuing misleading statements to the media.
Important to note is that under this contract, which lapses tomorrow, no upfront payment was made. So no money was paid at all to the contractor, and no motorbike was delivered by the contractor. So the contract lapses tomorrow with no upfront payment and no item delivered in accordance with the contract. We want to end by stating that we have seen the statement that has come from Transparency International Zambia, and we want to urge that it is important for all watchdog institutions, especially those that have national and international reputation, to ensure that before they issue public statements, they have their facts right. The facts as stated by Transparency International are incorrect, they are misleading, and they are unfounded. Therefore, it is important that such institutions that have a very high good reputation make sure that before they come out to the public, before they come out to the media, they have done their research well, because these are the facts.
The Zambia Public Procurement Authority, ZPPA, has encouraged Zambian citizens and suppliers to take advantage of the provisions of the Public Procurement Act in relation to citizen participation in procurement. Speaking at a suppliers engagement workshop and feedback meeting held in Lusaka Tuesday, ZPPA Director General Aida Chela says the ZPPA Act has been amended to ensure that local suppliers are given priority when it comes to bidding for tenders. Ms. Chela says long gone are the days when foreign suppliers were prioritized, thereby sidelining local suppliers in the procurement processes. More in this report.
The tendering and procurement processes in Zambia has remained a subject of great concern as complaints of some companies being awarded procurement tenders have emerged, while complaints of sidelining local businesses in preference to outside bidders has been the order of the day. The coming into office of the United Party for National Development UPND administration is yet to be felt in the procurement processes, as local businesses have still not yet started benefiting from the public procurement process. The Zambia Public Procurement Authority Tuesday convened a suppliers engagement workshop and feedback meeting, which was attended by various suppliers in the country. And speaking at the meeting, ZPPA Director General Aida Chela took time to encourage Zambian citizens and suppliers to take advantage of the provisions of the Public Procurement Act in relation to citizens' participation in public procurement.
I would like to urge Zambian citizens and suppliers to take advantage of the provisions of the Public Procurement Act in relation to citizen participation in public procurement. I think you are aware that the 2020 Act is citizen-centric in the sense that it promotes the citizens. Previously, we used to cry to say, look, it's only in Zambia where you find that when you come, foreigners, local suppliers, there's nothing for the citizens. and the law was changed to actually promote the citizens.
The Director General also took time to explain to the participants how the new Procurement Act is supposed to benefit them.
So local suppliers are these people who come, they register their business here, but they're not Zambians. So those ones, should they win a tender, they are under national open bidding, and it's only when a Zambian is not successful that we can give a local bidder, or in some circumstances where maybe we may not find some other people. We may not find people under 39.2. So if they win a tender, they are supposed to partner with a citizen, which is you.
Meanwhile, the use of electronic procurement government system has come with its own challenges to suppliers, which the organization took time to explain to the participants how they can utilize the system.
Allow equal opportunities to all of us. You should be able to win the contract based on merit. So that's the objective of the system. The other objective of the system is to bring transparency in the public procurement process. There is a lot of social media speculation at most times because we don't have access to vital information about what is going on.
If Zambia is to fully develop, local suppliers should be encouraged to take part in the tendering and procurement processes of the country. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Jack Mwimbo, says high-technology cameras and command centers will be set up in all 10 provinces of the country as one way of beefing up internal security. Speaking when commissioning the Public Security Information System project themed Safe City in Lusaka Tuesday, Mr. Mwimbo says these cameras will be able to provide live feed and help to track criminals in real time. The country has witnessed a spate of crimes, among them alleged kidnappings, which have led to concerned citizens crying out for the setting up of street cameras as one way of enhancing internal security. More in this report.
Internal security has remained a concern in Zambia as crimes have been rife in communities, with crimes such as rape, murder, and kidnap topping the list. Many of these crimes are, however, still under investigation as the criminals are yet to be brought to book, causing as a source of worry among most citizens on the status of internal security in the country. Many non-governmental organizations have been advocating for the setting up of street cameras to help in quickening the process of investigations, as these are able to capture key details such as the faces of the criminals, as well as the vehicle number plate for those using cars to carry out various crimes. The Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security has in this regard reviewed that the ministry has engaged the Chinese firm to set up high-technology cameras and command centers in all 10 provinces across the country. Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbo was speaking when commissioning the Public Security Information System project, which is themed Safe City in Lusaka.
Zambia Correctional Service, the Drug Enforcement Commission, the Department of Immigration, and the National Anti-Terrorism Center. The project is aimed at having a unified communication system which will enhance security across the country. Some of the best practices that have been incorporated in the project include e-policing, installing of a 4G wireless broadband trunking network, a transmission collision emergency response system network, video surveillance system cameras, and the installation of the intelligence traffic systems, among others.
Speaking during the same function, Chinese Embassy Deputy Head of Mission Lai Bo has predicted an increase in internal security in Zambia once the project is complete.
By visiting this future National Command Center of Zambia, I'm deeply inspired that ZTE has successfully completed the construction of this high-tech, high-standard, state-of-the-art, and high-quality project. In the face of challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic in recent years, ZTE has actively overcome various difficulties, smoothly promoted project construction and delivery, and made important contributions to the promotion of Zambia's Safe City network.
Meanwhile, ZTE Chief Executive Officer Avingsi, which is the Chinese firm contacted to set up the cameras, has guaranteed high-quality work.
Safe City project is a project providing an integrated solution for public security in cooperation with Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. ZTE is greatly honored and grateful for the trust of the ministry and work with all of the colleagues together to ensure this project completed in good time.
The project has been placed under 5 security agencies under the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, who will be monitoring live video feeds to help curb criminal activities. Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take our first break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
It's census time. The 2022 Census of Population and Housing will be conducted from 18th August to 14th September 2022. The census collects a lot of data for use in various aspects of social and economic planning for the country. We are all required to participate in the census by being counted. You will be counted from your usual dwelling place by a census enumerator. Please receive and cooperate with the census enumerator and provide the required information when you will be visited. Your responses to the census questions will be treated with strict confidentiality and will be used for statistical purposes only.
Hi, I'm coming to count you.
Because everyone counts.
This message is brought to you by the Zambia Statistics Agency with support from the UNFPA.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. Camnet Engineering Tuesday afternoon made a donation of 20 desks valued at 38,000 kwacha to Namulonga Primary School in Mazabuka District. Speaking during the official handover, Camnet Engineering Director Steve Chipper says the donation is part of the company's corporate social responsibility to the people that support the business in the community it operates in. Mr. Chipper also unveiled his organization's plan to rehabilitate desks that are in bad shape to habitable standards at the school. And the Namulonga Primary School head teacher Moya Hazemba notes that the school has a population of about 864 learners who are sharing a total of 73 desks, making this donation timely. More in this report.
The introduction of free education is both on paper and physically seen as a step in the right direction towards the provision of education for all. This new change by government in 2022 has seen schools and classroom blocks filled to capacity, thereby increasing the already high teacher-pupil ratio and also the desk and books pupil ratio. This is by fact making it a challenge for government to provide quality education in line with Sustainable Development Goal number 4 on the provision of quality education. Those championing the education cause have called on stakeholders to supplement government's effort. Camnet Engineering Tuesday donated 20 desks valued at 38,000 kwacha to Namulonga Primary School in Mazabuka District.
The way he came out and actually emphasized and showed that he appreciated our donation, and he has made me realize that we need to do much more than this. So we came with 20 desks, but we've offered to actually repair more desks so that we could actually help out to help the school to meet the challenges they have here. We've been given accorded an opportunity even to face the media and also to talk, so that maybe there are other people who would want to do what we are doing, and then together we can actually save the community.
Mazabuka Mayor Vincent Lilanda described the donation as timely in view of shortages of desks in schools.
For Mazabuka, I'm seeing this for the first time, especially a person who has been working for Zambia Sugar as a contractor. We are really humbled and want to urge other local contractors that are working with the Zambia Sugar the way he has come out to learn how to plow back in our communities. If you ask him, all his children, maybe they are not even here. They are at other schools. But as a parent, he has proved himself that he can plow back in the community. The message you have also to Zambia Sugar, say, let the company continue employing local people like him because we are able to see the results. Yeah, we are saying they can employ, they can give contract to others, but as Mazabukan would appreciate if local contractors are given more jobs so that they can plow back in the community where they reside to supplement government efforts.
And Kaunga Ward Area Councillor Clifford Jolihya described the gesture as unprecedented and asked other companies to emulate the gesture. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News.
Minister of Agriculture Ruben Mutolapiri says the fact that the agriculture sector is contributing less than 20% to the country's gross domestic product GDP is an indication that something is wrong in the way the agriculture sector is functioning. Speaking at the high-level ministerial dialogue meeting on National Agricultural Investment Plan and Agricultural Support Program held in Lusaka Tuesday, the minister says it is disappointing that only 7 million hectares of land is currently being used out of the 45 million arable land in Zambia. He says there is need to therefore open up land for more agricultural investments if the sectors are to grow. Meanwhile, Food and Agricultural Organization Country Representative Suze Philippine says her organization, working with other cooperating partners, have formulated a second National Agricultural Investment Plan, which presents a unique opportunity to address identified needs and gaps in the agricultural sector. More in this report.
Despite Zambia sitting on 75 million hectares of land, with 45 million being arable land, only 7 million hectares of land is currently being used for agriculture purposes, a situation that has enabled the agriculture sector to contribute less than 20% to the country's gross domestic product GDP. To help create opportunities in the agriculture sector, the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, working with other cooperating partners, developed a National Agriculture Investment Plan to ensure the growth of the agriculture sector in Zambia. And Minister of Agriculture Ruben Piri, who attended a high-level ministerial dialogue meeting on National Agriculture Investment Plan and Agriculture Support Program, says the fact that the agriculture sector is failing to positively contribute to the GDP of the country means something is wrong in the sector, and says there is need to open up the Zambia land for agriculture investment.
Our contribution is less than 20%, and yet we employ, so we say, 65% or more of the workable force in Zambia, but we are contributing less than 20%. There is a disjoint here. There's something wrong here, and for me, it is clear. It is clear. We are using very little of our land. So how do we use more of our land? We are looking at means and ways. And today's gathering, why we are seated here, eventually should lead to that.
Meanwhile, Food and Agriculture Organization Country Representative says the formulation process of the second National Agriculture Investment Plan presents a unique opportunity to address identified needs and gaps in the agriculture sector.
Yet, the country's agriculture sector continues to perform far below its potential to promote food and nutrition security, create jobs for our women and youth, as well as generate much needed revenue through cross-border trade. Without question, this calls for action. It calls for smart, innovative, and evidence-based investment planning for the agriculture sector.
Others in attendance were Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Elias Mubanga, who also spoke to the need to increase support to small and medium agriculture businesses, which makes the majority of businesses in Zambia. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Government has increased the Farmer Input Support Program FISP beneficiaries from 62,276 to 67,973 for the 2022-2023 farming season in Northwestern Province. Northwestern Provincial Agricultural Coordinator in the Ministry of Agriculture, Muyobo Shimabale, has since cautioned his officers under his ministry to desist from engaging themselves in malpractices during the implementation of the FISP program in the province. Mr. Shimabale was speaking when he graced the FISP sensitization meeting held at Solwezi Lodge in Solwezi. More than 1 million farmers are expected to benefit from FISP program countrywide for the 2022-2023 farming season. Nais has more in this report.
The preparation of Farmer Input Support Program FISP implementation is taking shape in Northwestern Province. Officers from the all 11 districts in the province are here in Solwezi to attend FISP sensitization meeting in readiness of this year's farming season. And the bearer of the good news is Northwestern Provincial Agriculture Coordinator, Muyobo Shimabale.
In this agricultural season, the government has increased the number of beneficiaries for Northwestern Province from 62,276 to 67,973. That this is a done deal, that it is a confirmed figure that Northwestern Province for this year will have 67,973 beneficiaries, an increase of about 5,500. Let us ensure that we choose correct beneficiaries. Let us ensure that we follow the procedure. We involve all those who are supposed to be involved in adding the added beneficiaries that will trickle down, or that have already trickled down to our districts.
Mr. Shimabale further cautioned his officers under the ministry to desist from engaging themselves in malpractices during the implementation of FISP program.
Let us avoid malpractices as we get into this program. Like we said, let us stick to the manual. Even the Minister of Agriculture is reminding us that please do not touch where you're not supposed to touch, as we have been saying. This is the only time we can help you as we start. It is difficult to help each other when things have already gone haywire.
The Ministry of Agriculture in the districts know the benefits of increasing the number of beneficiaries and receiving the inputs ready to deliver to the farmers.
I want to say that I think we've gotten the information as that is prepared. And then we also want to thank the government for increasing the parts. I think when you look at the overall increment, it's about 5,500 parts. That will add value. And then we look at, I think, the gaps that have been created by the data has been claimed. So that one, want to be grateful. I think that will go a long way in pacifying the farmers that have not been benefiting. Then further, I want to be grateful that I think we've been given a big task of trying to capture more details. We've understood what I think government has put in place, and I know we have a lot of questions. The important thing is we've been guided, the manual has been finalized and adopted.
More than 1 million farmers are expected to benefit from FISP program countrywide for 2022-2023 farming season. Krivach Tuta reporting in Solwezi, Northwestern Province.
The Road Safety Trust has appealed to law enforcement agencies to put to good use the breathalyzer and breathalyze public service transportation. Breathalyzing is a process of conducting tests on an individual to assess alcohol levels in their blood. In an interview with Camnet News, the association spokesperson Miles Mwale says breathalyzing will reduce on the record of road traffic accidents in the country. He also states that the government should strengthen the policies that have been put in place to monitor public service drivers, alleging that most of them are engaging in drunk driving. Mr. Mwale adds that the Road Transport and Safety Agency should be constantly monitoring the drivers and not just checking discs on the drivers' screens.
But what do we see is just checking the discs on the screen. Then these public service drivers, they let them go. But we could love, as a Zambia Road Safety Trust, to see that randomly. These, even in the local roads, some drivers are breathalyzed. We do understand there's that enforcement for breathalyzer that RATS as well as the Zambia police. So we need those equipment to be put into good use. That way we are going to manage and flush out all bad drivers on our roads. We cannot continue to be losing lives. But what do we see all the time when there's road traffic accidents? It's just not the driver was over speeding. We feel that that is not actually enough. A lot more needs to be done. We need to see improved enforcement. People should be not in offices, people should be on the road to check. And also visit the operators themselves who are managing these buses. What policies have they put in place to monitor their drivers? So there are only a few companies which are doing well where monitoring of drivers is concerned.
The Ministries of Green Economy and Energy have signed an agreement for the Zambia Renewable Energy Financing Framework Technical Assistance Project aimed at accelerating investment in renewable energy. Speaking during the signing ceremony, Minister of Green Economy and Environment Collins Nzovu says the tripartite implementation agreement has been funded by the African Development Bank, AFDB, and the Green Climate Fund. Mr. Nzovu noted that the Green Climate Fund released $52.5 million and AFDB co-financed the project with an additional $51.5 million. Mr. Nzovu said another $37.7 million is earmarked to come from local financial institutions, adding that $4 million is the grant component. Mr. Nzovu stated that the purpose of the grant is to assist the Ministry of Energy and the Rural Electrification Authority, REA, to create an enabling environment for private sector investment in the mini and off-grid subsectors. Mr. Nzovu further said this will translate into empowering small-scale independent power producers, IPP, under the Get Fit project into the renewable energy-based rural electrification. And Ministry of Energy Acting Permanent Secretary Mwape Chipala said the project is important as it will help in the mini and off-grid project preparation, feasibility studies, and regulatory designs. This is Camnet Television. We take a second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
It's census time. The 2022 Census of Population and Housing will be conducted from 18th August to 14th September 2022. The census collects a lot of data for use in various aspects of social and economic planning for the country. We are all required to participate in the census by being counted. You will be counted from your usual dwelling place by a census enumerator. Please receive and cooperate with the census enumerator and provide the required information when you will be visited. Your responses to the census questions will be treated with strict confidentiality and will be used for statistical purposes only.
Hi, I'm coming to count you.
Because everyone counts.
This message is brought to you by the Zambia Statistics Agency with support from the UNFPA.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now in international news, Angola's largest opposition party, UNITA, announced Tuesday it would contest the results of the legislative elections announced the day before, which gave the ruling party the victory and a second term for the outgoing president, João Lourenço. In other news, at least 6 people have been killed in a mudslide near Sierra Leone's capital. Flash floods triggered by torrential rains caused a section of a hill in Looking Town to collapse, burying occupants of 2 houses built on its slopes. The disaster comes 2 weeks after Sierra Leone marked the 5th anniversary of the mudslide that killed more than 1,000 people. For more in international news.
Angola's biggest opposition party has vowed to contest last week's election results. We saw the long-ruling MPLA win by a significant reduced majority. The August 24 election was the most hotly contested in the oil-rich country since its first multi-party vote in 1992. The opposition National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, UNITA, said it does not recognize the result from the National Electoral Commission. It vowed to file a legal claim which will have the effect of suspending the declaration of the final results, the Party Secretary General Alvaro Chikwamanga Daniel said in a video recorded overnight. During the final phase of counting, the former rebel movement turned opposition party claims not to have been informed of the decision by the Electoral Commission to ratify the results and not to have received a copy of the tables of the final results. Candidates have 72 hours after the announcement of results to file a claim to the Constitutional Court contesting the ballot. 4 of the 16 Electoral Commission did not sign off on the final results, casting doubts about the process. This year's turnout dipped to less than half of the approximately 14.4 million registered voters.
By the time help arrived, it was too late for many who lived here, including children. But even after the last body was found, neighbors continued to dig through the rubble in the hope of salvaging what they can. The residents described what happened.
All of a sudden, I just saw the bulk of mud and palm trees uprooted from the stump. The mud which fell destroyed these 3 houses, which caused the death of 6 people.
The destruction also leaving many here homeless.
We live here because this is where we manage to pay cheaper rent. I don't have the money to pay for an expensive house.
Emergency workers say 2 more people were killed in Freetown as a result of the torrential rains. An evacuation order has now been issued.
So our presence here today with EPA and other agencies is to actually continue assessing the risks around and advise other households within this area to voluntarily relocate, whilst the NDMA and other agencies work modalities in place to get the other hanging boulders down so that we could prevent further disaster.
President Julius Maada Bio issued a statement sending condolences to affected families. He once described Sierra Leone as the world's 3rd most vulnerable nation when it comes to the impact of climate change. Yet despite a government ban 5 years ago, people continue to build settlements in disaster-prone areas in and around Freetown. As seen here, the consequences can be fatal. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera.
Homeless and in desperate need of help. 36 villages in eastern Sudan have been inundated by water, and the threat from floods isn't over yet. The torrential rains began more than 5 weeks ago. El Gash, a seasonal river near the city of Kassala, has reached unprecedented levels and threatens to spill into surrounding areas.
Al Gash flooding is our biggest problem. We've been asking for a bridge to be built in this area since 2017, but authorities never responded to our demands.
Local authorities say several people have lost their lives in this area so far. 15,000 homes have been completely or partly damaged. Swathes of agricultural land have been destroyed. Thousands of families have lost their livelihoods.
It continues to rain and people have lost their homes. Now they need shelters, mosquito nets, insecticides.
Kesselo authorities are appealing for humanitarian help.
The people who have been affected were already among the poorest in this area, so we would like to ask good-hearted people and organizations to intervene and bring more help.
Several countries, including Qatar and Saudi Arabia, have already responded. Large shipments of aid have been sent by air and are being distributed, but logistics issues are delaying the operation. Many of the affected areas are remote and have been impossible to reach because the roads have been cut off by floods. 14 states across Sudan need immediate help. The deadly floods have caused extensive damage to property, especially in the states of Kordofan, Darfur, Al Jazeera and White Nile. With a few more weeks of the wet season remaining, fears are mounting that the situation for those already affected might go from bad to worse. Mohammed Val, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.
It's now time for sports news. In sports news, Red Arrows men's rugby head coach Mwamba Chishimba says the forthcoming National League game between the Arrows and Kitwe Playing Fields Rugby Club will be a decisive game as to whether the club stops the league or not. In an interview with Camnet Sports, Chishimba discloses that the Arrows need to accelerate from the third position in the league where they currently hold 50 points. Chishimba says his team needs to train extra hard if they are to beat KPF in a National League title. More in the following report.
Red Arrows Rugby Club remain optimistic in defending the National Rugby League title. The 8-times champions remain confident of winning the league title despite currently holding third position. Red Arrows head coach Mwamba Chishimba says the power to win the league title is in their hands after bashing off Powerhouse in a Lusaka derby. Chishimba discloses that the team is training hard to win the trophy.
Two more games to play. The league is led by KPF at 54 points. We are 50. Followed by Diggers at 51. Diggers are done with their games. KPF are remaining with one game against us. They are coming the next weekend. It will be a decider. And looking at them now in the camp, we are very optimistic. We hope to carry the day.
Arrows are holding 50 points in third place, but crucially just 4 points off leaders, Kitwe Playing Fields, who they will be playing next. Chishimba says the players should coordinate themselves effectively ahead of their next encounter.
From what we have done so far and the preparations that we started on a very low note at the beginning of the season. We lost 2 games, but we have recovered well, and now the league is in our hands. We need to beat these 2 remaining teams, then we are champions once again.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
That rugby note brings us to the end of our news tonight. But before we go, we'll take a look at stories making headlines. Joseph Malanji and the BOWMAN LUSAMBO sued the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Government blames PF on the 75 motorcycle procurement scandal. Zambia to combat crimes through street cameras. And in international news, Angola's opposition to contest election results. In sports news, Red Arrows men's rugby team eyes first place after the forthcoming game. We'll now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from Ephesians 2, chapter 2, verse 19. You are no longer foreigners and aliens, but fellow citizens with God's people and members of God's household. Thank you once again for watching the news. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.